All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And thanks, Coach, for doing this. John Boyle, you want to start us off?
Yeah, Mike, congratulations. Just want to get your thought on what this means to you to be going to the Ring of Honor.
Well, John, obviously I'm stating the obvious, but it means a whole lot. Our time in Seattle as a family, my time as a football coach, it's been special. It was special, and now to be able to see the name up there, honestly, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's quite an honor. I'm humbled by it. And it's going to be a good day for me and my family.
Corbin?
Hey, Mike, when you first arrived, it took a few years to really build a consistent winner. You had a couple tough first-round exits as well. When you look back, what really made the biggest difference for this franchise getting over the hump, and how much do those mid-2000 teams help create this sustained success the franchise has had the last 15 years?
Well, I think that's you stated it well. There was a developing period early, like every franchise I think goes through, until you find the right person to play quarterback for you. And so we were kind of going through that. We finally got Matt, and then Matt, there was a time of maturity with Matt as well. And then, but when he hit it, I thought it was his third year in the last 5 games that he really, I could see that he got it, and it was going to be okay. Then you build a team around it, and you have a chance to be good for a long time if you have that guy. It was hard early, I mean, it was, but that was the challenge for me, and always has been, in coaching and taking a job, to try and build it back up. And I feel good about what we did, and for a stretch there, we were pretty good. And I think it did set the tone for the future, and all the great things that happened under Pete and with Russell Wilson and so on.
Brady?
Hi, Mike. Congratulations. You just mentioned Hasselbeck. I was going to ask you just what that was like with him, sort of, you sort of nurturing him and getting him in the first place, and then working with him. And what does it mean to go into the Ring of Honor a week after he did?
Well, I was able to go. I wasn't there at the game, but we had a nice lunch that day on Monday. And I've touched base with him over the years since I coached him at different things. And I told him this. I said, I was so proud of him and how he did things. Because when he came in, I always referred to it as tough love. I was hard on him. And he was a very smart guy, and he'd push back on things, and we'd bang it around a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I remember it distinctly. He came into my office one day. He goes, "Mike, I get it. I get it. And from that point on, it was different. But that's the nurturing. That, in my opinion, that's what you have to do when you have a young guy playing quarterback, and the coach and the quarterback have to connect at some point, and that's what makes the whole thing work. So I couldn't be more proud of him, and I love his family. It was good to see him get that honor, and he was he was over the top with it as well.
And that coaching style of yours, the tough love, would you have done that with any quarterback, or can a certain quarterback, can only some quarterbacks handle that style of coaching?
No, well, I think you have to understand who the young man is. You have to understand the player, first of all, and then you don't coach them all the same way. I had the privilege of starting my career in the NFL with Joe Montana, and I've told the story before. I was a year removed from a high school coach, or 4 years removed from being a high school coach, and here I'm coaching Joe Montana, and I was a little nervous, to say the least, about how I'm going to make him better. He was MVP. He was, and he came in, and we first time I met him, we were going down to the cafeteria to get a Coke, and he stopped me about halfway down. He said, "Mike, I want you to understand up front, coach me hard. Coach me hard. If I'm doing something wrong and you don't like it, you tell me, and we'll fix it. I want to be, and I'm thinking to myself, here is this guy who's won the MVP, and he's approaching it this way. Well, it took a lot of pressure off me. It also told me something about these guys who are star guys, who are great guys. That's what they want. Now, how you do it, you got to, when I say tough love, it's both those things. It's being tough with them and being firm with them, but then they have to know you care about them. Not only them, but their families and the whole thing. So when you get that, it works.
Thank you.
John Boyle.
Yeah, Mike, you just mentioned being a high school coach. Could you have imagined, back when you're coaching high school for almost a decade, that this is where it's ultimately going to go with this long NFL career?
John, I couldn't. And I've said this before too. Honestly, I really loved high school coaching. I was believe it or not, I taught history. I was a classroom teacher, then I coached all sorts of stuff. But I loved it. I loved the opportunity to work with young kids and help them not only on the field, but hopefully developing life skills and just how they approach things. And then I took a leave of absence for a year, sabbatical, like a lot of high school people did. And then went to San Francisco State and coached there where my brother had played. And then all of a sudden, that coach knew Lavelle Edwards at BYU, and I went for the interview. He got me an interview there. I didn't want it. They worked it out, and I said, I'm not going to get that job. I told Kathy that I'm not going to get the job. And so I got that job, and the same thing happened with San Francisco with the 49ers. They said they got other guys applying for this job, but I want to go for the interview to learn about how to do this kind of stuff. And then by that time, it was too late to go back to my high school. I was already on a different track.
Bob Condota.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bob.
You've got the street named for you outside Lambeau there, and now you've got this. How sort of cool is that? I guess to have created legacies, kind of lasting legacies at two different franchises like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Your body of work, whatever you do. I happen to be a football coach, but whatever you do, and you guys know this as well. If you're honored in your profession in some way like this by other people, and it's a thank you for what you've done, you feel good about it. You should feel good about it. I mean, it's in Green Bay, as an example, I told when the powers that be, the mayor and all the politicians came to me and said, we want to do this. I first said, no, you don't want it. He goes, no, we want to do this. And so, no, to have there's a corner in Green Bay that's the corner of Holmgren and Lombardi. Now, how cool is that? So this being in the stadium like this and have your name there, I don't want to overstate it, but it's really very, very special to me.
Larry Stone.
Yeah, Mike, congratulations on this honor.
Thanks.
A lot of people think that the next honor, or one that should have already happened, is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How much do you think about that? What would it mean to you, and how disappointed are you that it hasn't happened?
Well, I think about it because people talk to me about it, but I think I've remained consistent, and I'm honest about this. Is that when I got into this business, particularly after high school and so on, my goal was to earn the respect of my fellow coaches, so they could look at me and say, he's doing a pretty good job, and that's really what I wanted. And so anything else after that is gravy. It's really good. Now, to say it wouldn't be, to go in the Hall of Fame wouldn't be something special, that I wouldn't be honest. It's something. And so, I'm 73 years old. Hopefully I've got some years left. Maybe it'll happen. If it does, it'll be something special too, just like Sunday will be.
Greg Bell.
Hello, sir. Congratulations again.
Hey, Greg, thanks.
I think you told us this story before, but could you tell us again why you left Green Bay? What enticed you to Seattle? I know Brett Favre talks about how broken up he was. You had a good thing going in Green Bay, and what enticed you here?
Yeah, people have asked me that before, and on the surface, in a league where coaches can lose their position rather quickly, it didn't make much sense to everyone else. But a couple things. One, Seattle had offered me a position of running the whole program. That was different than in Green Bay. Although I was fortunate to have Ron Wolf in Green Bay, and that's a perfect combination. Not unlike Pete and John now with the Seahawks. So that was one thing. The other thing is just being on the West Coast, a little closer to all my family. That was another thing. The third thing was, and I'll be honest, in Green Bay, people ask me about the pressure of coaching in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And I have to say that kind of pressure didn't bother me. That comes with the job. What I did think about there was in Wisconsin, you guys know how rabid the Seahawks fans are. In Wisconsin, the head coach of the Packers really is responsible for the mood of the entire state. And, sometimes football's important, but it should be fun. I mean, it's not, my daughter's a doctor and she saves lives. It's not like that. But to the folks there, it was important. And I felt that. That burden sometimes hit me. If we lose a game, and we didn't lose too many, it was a good run. But as an example, my wife's a social worker, and on the Monday after we lose, there was a spike in spousal abuses. I mean, it was just crazy. And so that was another reason. I think I wanted to get just change the dynamic just a little bit from how my mind was working towards this job.
And I assume you found in Seattle that balance, Mike, or at least a little better.
I think so. I think so. Now, I'd say that I feel very good about is that, and you guys remember this. I was in the Kingdome, and then we were at University of Washington, and then we were here when we built the stadium. And early on, when the team we were still getting to where we got to, there were a lot of different colored jerseys in that stadium. There was a lot of, to fill it, visiting teams would buy tickets. You guys remember that. But then all of a sudden, the idea, Todd Lewicki brought this in, of the 12th man. And then it kind of erupted. And it was a fun, great place to be on Sunday. And, but it was different, Greg. It was different. It was never, maybe because it's larger. It has to be, Green Bay's a unique place. But the passion is still there. It's just that I was able to create a little bit more balance.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Michael, Sean.
Hey, what's up, Mike? Beyond the obvious ones, maybe with Matt or some of your star players or guys in the front office we would think about, were there some other relationships that were really important to you in your career here in Seattle that we probably wouldn't think about, maybe behind the scenes?
Oh, gosh. There's a lot of non-football relationships, involved in a lot of things in the city, as far as Jubilee Reach as an example, Medical Teams International as an example. You get to meet a lot of people that are football fans, and on one hand, but that can do a lot of other stuff to help people in the city, and very involved in that. I know this, Mike, because you work there. That my KJR gave me an opportunity to stay after my retirement, to stay involved just a little bit in the football part of it, and I really enjoy that. The guys are great, and I fully believe you have to have something to do after you finish coaching. Or finish any job. You can't retire from one job you've done your whole life. You got to have something else, and they do that. So I appreciate them for that. So, it's just, we live here now. It's our home. I I grew up in San Francisco, and we have cabins down there in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And after you retire, you see people, oh, I'm going to live in Palm Springs, or I'm going to go to Florida or whatever. We're here. My kids are here. My grandkids are here. I always say I didn't get fired so I could stay. I could live here, and so I'm glad we did. We love it here.
Thanks, Mike. Congrats.
Thank you.
John Boyle.
Yeah, Mike, the 2005 team in particular, just that run, what was that like? The way the city embraced that team and just how crazy it was?
Well, it was unbelievable. I mean, we had a really good team. Matt was playing well. The city, it's hard to describe the feeling in that stadium. And you guys know this, but if you're on the field and you're trying to communicate and do stuff in the noise, it's almost impossible. And the fans they were just so good and helped us so much and gave us such an advantage at home. I tell the story of, I think it was 2005. I think we played the Redskins in Joe Gibbs' last game he coached in a playoff game. And Alexander gets blown out with a concussion in the first quarter. And Matt kind of he really took over and won the game for us, honestly. But after the season was over, he phoned me. He retired, Joe Gibbs, who I admired tremendously. He wanted to recommend a young coach for my staff. And he goes, Mike, tell me, you pipe in noise, don't you? And I said, no, coach, we don't. He goes, no. I mean, come on. I coached you in college. I know you. I tried to hire you once. Tell me, I know I'm not in it anymore. You piped in noise. I said, Coach, honestly, there is no noise that way. It's just the people are fired up. And he goes, no, stop. He goes, stop. Sometime you'll visit my car place. He was into the motor cars and stuff in North Carolina, and you'll tell me the truth. You'll tell me the truth then. So don't lie to me now, But that playoff game, not only that one, and then when we played the championship game against Carolina, it was something. It was something, and it's I'll never forget that. That was pretty cool.
All right, one more for you, Coach Brady Henderson.
Well, Mike, I was hoping somebody would go after me because I hate to end on this note, but the Super Bowl and some of the officiating decisions there. Did you have closure on that, or what have you? Did you ever hear anything from anybody that changed your? I don't know. Just like what do you feel about that all these years later?
Brady, I had closure until you just asked the question. It was no, I can't. And honestly, I'll go fly someplace and I'll be walking through some airport. Doesn't have to be Seattle. And somebody will come up and go, you know what? That you got screwed in that Super. It wasn't right. I mean, somebody I don't know out of the blue. And so, I felt that was a poorly officiated game. And in that game, the officials should never be the storyline for the Super Bowl. That's ridiculous. And it was. I mean, you didn't have to be a Seahawks fan to see that. And afterwards, now I can't remember the referee there, Bill Levy. Bill Levy. He refereed my high school games in San Jose. He was a cop in San Jose and refereed my high school games. Now he's in the NFL. He's got the Super Bowl. I'm going, oh, this is going to be good. If anything, I'm going to get the. He might give me a little help here. And, he came out afterwards. He was the gentleman that came out afterwards, I think a couple years later, and said that, I messed up. Officials never say that. They never say it. He said, I messed up, But I'll tell you one story of that game, and I think here's where I messed up. That it was, if you remember the game, it was kind of a Pittsburgh home game. They passed out these towels. They didn't pass out towels to our fans. Who was a fullback?
Bettis.
It was a big deal. And so you go in there, and the crowd, when we were on offense, was like a home game for Pittsburgh. And so Matt was having to bark out signals so everyone could hear. And he came over to me, the official, Bill Levy, my friend, from San Jose, says, Mike, if he keeps trying to get them offsides, I got to penalize him. I said, Bill, he's not, he's just trying to let him hear. And he goes, no. I go, Bill, and here's where I messed up. I kicked myself for this. I said, don't let this game be too big for you. And all of a sudden I go, uh-oh, I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that. Now, I'm sure it didn't affect any of his decision-making in the game, but I know it didn't help. And Brady, thank you for asking the question. Now I'm going to try and block it from my mind for the next 10 years or till I pass away.
I'm sorry. One more follow-up. I mean, Bill came back, I think, to the VMAC in 2010, and he gave the mea culpa. Did he ever reach out to you and say anything to you about it?
No. In fact, I was on committees with the league, and Mike Pereira at the time was in charge of officials, and we were good friends because he was on the competition committee with me. I mean, he was around all the time. We were together a lot, and he did come out to Seattle. Mike did, to talk about that game and all the calls in the game, and I had the staff in there, and we showed him film. And Mike's a great politician, and he's the head of officials, so I'll let you piece that together. And you were arguing and showing stuff, and he said, no, that didn't happen. I said, look at the film. Let's look at it. So no, no one got to me, and I didn't expect them to. And calls, you look at calls, it goes against you. Some calls help you, but it's unfortunate that was the story of that game. We had a chance to win, and we didn't.
Thanks, Mike. Congrats, and forget I asked about the officiating.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Coach, thanks so much, and
Thanks,
congratulations.
guys. Appreciate it.